Well, we're at Avery Recreation Center today on the about central Washington, right on the Columbia River, just right on the border. Thought we just have a Every talk. Once in a while, I get a little bit envious of the people that can travel most of the day, check into a hotel without looking for a campground, have electricity and wireless, and put out videos every day. And then I think, well, that's ridiculous. I'm out here pretty much doing what I want, very much enjoying it. And I get a lot of people asking, not asking, going, I wish I could do that. And all I can think is that I'm betting that an awful lot of you could. So I like to just devote a little bit of time to what I do and what makes it work, and what resources I have, and what you might want to do if you wanted to take on a lifestyle like this. And well, let's talk about it. This is probably going to be a bit fractured, I can see, because I am at a really beautiful little place. But one thing that it does have, it warned me on the app, is it when they say frequent trains, they're talking about trains that are about 3/4 of a mile long, coming by about every 15 minutes. So bear with me if this seems a little disjointed. If you're going to take up this kind of lifestyle, the first thing you need, I need to shave. The first thing you need to do is shave and look presentable. Now, the first thing you need to do is assess what you have and what you don't have. Now, initially I probably would have had a tough time doing it on less than what I make now, but I probably could, since I've learned a few things. But there is definitely a learning curve. So let's take a look at what we're doing and what I'm doing. Basically, I sold a house, but I don't touch the money from that. I have made myself a loan on that, and it is being rapidly paid off because I'm able to make out on this. But for the most part, I'm living on the Social Security, and that amounts to about $1,500 every 4 or 5 weeks. It's the third Wednesday of every month. Exciting. So I have laid out that of that 1,500, I put aside 500 for maintenance, repairs, tires, chains, that kind of stuff, and junk I might need. Now we're going to Alaska, and I'm kind of busting my budget some, but you spend a little bit of time, you can add the this or that, the things that you need. We're also going to need to talk about initial outlay. And initial outlay is going to be your bike and all your clothes and your gear and all the things you do to prep the bike. And those things, they're not going to come out of that budget. That's something you're going to have to put away and decide what you're going to do, how much you're going to spend, what type of bike, etc. But basically, it leaves me with about $1,000 a month to live on. So what I say is I try to do this basically on a $30 a day budget. And what I'll do is I'll set up a little note in the beginning of the month and write down 28 or 35 days, depending on what it's going to be this month. Divide that by the money that I have and say that's how much I get to spend every day. As I meet or exceed, hopefully not, or go under those goals, I reevaluate that daily. And frequently, if you got a $30 a day allowance and you spend 20, then you've got 10 more over the next 25 days or whatever it is. Frequently by the end of it, I have a 50, 60, 80, sometimes even $100 a day availability. I don't spend that, I just make it a goal. And that rolls over, and actually my budget has worked out that way. So what I want to do is spend a little time and talk about the things that make that budget work out, the things that break it, and the things that you might be able to do if you're on the road. And it starts with you. When I say it starts with you, what I'm saying is your capability in doing this, and your ability to not add to the cost, and your ability to save, is a huge part of it. I see a lot of people out there and their bikes break down, and they're on YouTube or they're on Instagram, and they're getting them fixed and all of that, and That's all wonderful. If you're in this kind of lifestyle, I haven't taken my motorcycle to a mechanic in, I don't remember when I ever did. I honestly don't. Not to a shop, not to a dealer ever. That doesn't mean that you need to be able to rebuild your engine in the middle of the road, but you should be able to change tires, adjust chains, lube chains, basic maintenance, change oil. Those things will kill you if you have to pay somebody else to do them. Valve adjustments, I'm a big proponent on motorcycles that are simple enough to adjust your own valves. If you're looking at screw and lock nut valves, you're going to do those adjustments more often, but they're going to be essentially free. If you're looking at shim under bucket valves, which is the more common thing, I mean, you can carry all the shims with you and everything, but that's a real estate that you don't want to give up, and we're going to talk about the real estate on the bike later. Um, Simple is better, as far as I'm concerned. Everybody can have a different opinion, and they have good reasons for those opinions, and I don't dispute those opinions. But get a simple bike and know how to work on it. Know how to fix the things that come up. Know how to fix things, and hopefully you get enough experience that you can be a little innovative with the things that may not be quite written down in the book on how to fix. Anyway, that's you. The other part of you is keeping yourself healthy. Um, we talk about food budget a little bit later on. Think about what you really need. Maybe it's a good time to go on a diet. I don't know. I'm not saying anything about anybody. I could use a pound or two off of me, that's for sure. Keep yourself in good shape. Exercise. You don't need to go to a gym. There are plenty of body weight exercises. Maybe I'll even do a little routine on what I do sometime. But get out there, exercise, keep yourself in shape, eat well. That doesn't mean you're going to get the best of everything all the time, but don't eat a lot of junk. Okay, next train is coming by, so we're going to take a little break, and we're going to come back and talk about equipment. That was a long train. Wow. So when we talk about equipment, the first thing we want to talk about is the bike we're going to get. I don't want to push any specific bike. If you do not have the mechanical ability, and you're never going to ride off into any really remote areas, and you're unlikely to dump it in the water or anything horrible like that, then any of the new Teneres, things like that, with all the traction controls and ABSs and etc., are fine. They do a great job. Fuel injection is wonderful. The only failure that I had on anything was a fuel pump, and that's due to having fuel injection. And that fuel pump, and I want to talk about a couple things. That fuel pump, in essence, cost me $1,500 because it was going to be a couple weeks before I could get one. The part was only about $120, but I wasn't in a place where I could stay for a couple weeks, so I had to get the motorcycle on myself someplace where I could stay for a few weeks, and that cost me $1,500 to truck it there. So, am I willing to go back to a carburetor? Absolutely. The bike I have right now, the main advantage of fuel injection is you maintain your power at altitude, and I can pull wheelies at 8,500 feet, so I'm not too concerned about that. Carburetor is as simple as a toilet. But if you're not comfortable with it, you're not comfortable with it. Also, along that line, a mistake I made at that point is I didn't go deep enough into the forums. Whatever motorcycle you get into the forums and know what the common problems with the motorcycle are. The fuel pump issue on that one is common and not uncommon in a lot of motorcycles. But that was on my Royal Enfield Himalayan, which, aside from that, was perfect minus the ability to go fast, which sometimes I need. In most cases, I'm not in any hurry at all and be just as happy to go 50, 60 miles an hour all day long. But be that as it may, I should have known, and had I had a $120 fuel pump stuffed away in my bags, and that's one of the very few things. I carried a chain with me. I carry a couple spare tubes, front and rear. and aside from that, not much else. Switched over to a DR, if anybody's following one, a DR 650. With that, there's a little electronic gizmo that sometimes goes out in the first 50,000 miles. I have one of those. I don't even really know what it does. Some sort of spark distributor. I have another chain. I have tubes and clutch cable. But I know the things that typically go wrong, and you want to prepare for that. So you want to have the right bike. You want to have the ability to fix it. If it's outside your ability to fix it, then you want to go for the ultimate in reliability that you can. But know that that could cost you if you can't fix it. So again, I don't want to preach it, but it is, but I do. It really behooves you to know how to work on your motorcycle. And in the age of YouTube, all it really takes is some guts, because there's instructions on anything you could possibly think of. So let's take a minute and talk about how to set the bike up. Um, you're gonna have to decide what you're gonna carry. You're not gonna carry a lot of clothes. I carry riding pants, which are worn most of the time, and riding boots, and I have camp shoes, lots of underwear, lots of socks, but basically 2 pairs of pants and 4 t-shirts. Lots of different combinations of layers of clothing, including a heated vest. So you want to keep it light. Real estate becomes really precious for you. One thing that I have that you probably won't have is this 6.5 pound beast with me, which takes up a whole lot of my real estate. But another thing you might want to consider is what kind of cases you're going to take. There's a lot of good things to say about soft bags, and I started out that way, and it does realistically concern me because I do a fair amount of going off road, because that can save you some money when you can stealth camp somewhere. Um, I wanted to stay with the soft bags. I've seen the X-rays and the videos of shattered legs taken out by hard cases on the side, and it's a little scary. However, one of the things that we've got to look at is food and other supply costs. And when you only have security enough to duck into the local 7-Eleven at the gas station, that can get expensive. Whereas the bike now with the hard cases that can lock, and I have a relatively expensive proximity sensor alarm on it. Nothing's going to be perfect. You could lose everything. You need to understand that. Keep your credit cards and keep your phone with you, and those things. But for the most part, my bike is irritatingly alarmed, and a locking soft. And I also don't keep everything in one spot. Yes, they could pick up the whole thing and throw it into a pickup truck. That's always the nightmare scenario. But it's a DR 650. That's another thing to think about when you're picking out the machine you want. I mean, I went through the whole. I want a Tenere. I want an Africa Twin. When the Transalp was coming out, I knew I wanted that. When the V-Strom 800 came out, I just about jumped ship. Except they don't seem to be producing it. But when I look at it and what I've got here, the DR is working out wonderfully well for me, and it's simple. It's just simple. So anyway, I can keep the security up that way, keep the bags locked, keep an alarm on it. Other things you might want to do. Some people are adding lights to them, upgraded horns, things like that. You know, uh, those are going to be individual preferences. I don't do a lot of night riding. The light works just fine for me, but some people just, it's unusable, etc. Uh, my shocks have been upgraded because I do try to probably take it off on some a little bit rougher stuff, but I'm no big dirt rider. So anyway, that's pretty much what I've got to say about the bike, your equipment. Get yourself set up, get your clothing picked out, get the gear you need. Um, Camp stove, I can tell you that. I started out with sternos and got talked out of that after waiting, you know, hours for water to boil, and went to a little butane camp stove that works well. Uh, you learn along the way. Uh, Invest in good stuff. Real estate is everything on the bike. And I had, big puffy sleeping bags, and, never has spent more than, $120 on a Walmart type bag, blah, blah, blah. Recently, getting ready to go to Alaska, I needed something colder. And as something colder, let's go to a really good quality, power filled down. And, my bag is now $500, but packs up ridiculously small, and this is a long-term investment. So while I'm talking about living on a budget out there, it's it's important that you put the money up that you need in the beginning, because it's going to save you in the end. It's going to give you more capacity, more capability, and more freedom. So, you know, it's a balance. I can't tell anybody exactly the way to go. If anybody wants to go ride along with me somewhere, I'd be happy to spend a month with them, and we'll take a look at what you're doing and what we could do better. But anyway, that's what I've got to say about that aspect. Let's take a look at food. Unless you're running a lot different system than I am, you probably don't have any refrigeration, so refrigerated food is kind of out. That doesn't mean that you can't buy a lot of, non-perishable or semi-perishable stuff, or perishable stuff toward the end of the day. You can grab some eggs and hot dogs at a dollar store or whatever. But or maybe your outlay in the beginning is, a big dresser motorcycle with a refrigerator unit. That's entirely up to you. You can save some money that way, that's for sure. um, there are a lot of packaged meals. There are also some great supplements or replacements. I'm a really happy with a company called Huel, Huel, and I'm not any spokesperson for them, although if they want to send me a lot of money, go ahead. um, Huel stands for human fuel, and they make prepackaged meal powders that you just mix up with water, and they are very high protein, nutritionally complete, etc. Can you live on them? I don't know. We're going to Alaska next month, and fuel prices aren't that bad. Everything else isn't that bad. Food is out of sight. I'm going to enjoy the things that I want to there, but I'm trying to keep the cost down. I'm taking a bunch of Huel powder with me. I also found a survival kit of dehydrated food, which will feed a family of 4 for 2 days, or one person for 8 days, for $27 at Walmart. And it actually looks pretty good. I haven't tried it yet, but it's got, macaroni, chicken and rice, pancakes, a variety of things. So 8 days of eating for $27 is not bad. So I may load up on that. Other than that, stay away from fast food. Fast food's just going to eat you up. You're going to probably, if you're on this budget, you're going to give up sodas. There's nothing in soda that does you any good. It's just sugar water that costs you a lot more money. But water, you've got to stock up on water. Water, 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 water. Every opportunity you get, refill it. We're going to talk about places to stay later, but I say you need to get on about a $10 a day food budget and $20 a day fuel budget, roughly. Staying places can't cost you anything. And when I say can't cost you anything, it's going to be like this, which is a beautiful location, but there's no water. So, we're going to have enough water to not just have some, but get me to the next rest stop, gas station, wherever I can, fill up my water bottles. So water, 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 water. Save money on your food. Go shop for it. Cook it. Watch your nutrition. I've been a nurse for a long time, and dietitians will tell you shouldn't have to take vitamin supplements, blah, 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 because you can eat right, and you should be able to get all the nutrition you need from the food that you eat. Wonderful. Get some vitamins, because you do not want to come out nutritionally deficient, because if you do, then you end up in a hospital because you've blown your entire budget. In order to do this, we need to continue to function. That means enough good food and enough good nutrition to continue doing what we're doing. So that's pretty much what I got to say about food. In fact, I know that people watching this probably are bubbling over with ideas, and I absolutely 100% welcome every little tip, on saving money on food, you can possibly put in the comments. So right away. I don't know if I'll get back to answering every one of them. Please understand, sometimes I'm not able to do that. I mean, I'll do this, and I probably won't be able to put this. I'll probably put this together tonight or tomorrow. May not have enough internet to get it out for 3 days. So sometimes that's the way it is. I appreciate all of you that are following along. On the initial outlay, you're going to want to look at what you spend for navigation. And I see a lot of people getting dedicated navigation GPSs. My thought is this: I use Google Maps extensively, and I like it because it will let you know if there are road closures. It's not something that's stored on there. You're getting it online. However, if you're going in areas where you can't get any reception, it will prompt you, and you can easily download the maps and be covered. I also use the Gaia app. That's wonderful. Actually, in some ways, it tells you more. It's harder to do rerouting, etc. But you'll get a preference for one or the other, or you'll probably use both like I do, or your other. People use Waze, people use all kinds of different things. There's not an answer to that specifically, but an app on a phone can be a lot easier. And I think all of us upgraded phones at one time or another, and I have literally half a dozen phones that still work. Again, preaching and not doing it. I should, and I plan to take one of the old ones, clear off all the memory, so I've got lots of rooms for map, and put, Google Maps and Gaia only on there, and that's it. You can always hotspot off your regular phone if you need to get an initial routing in there or something like that. But once you've done that, you've got something as good as any commercial GPS unit. Generally a lot cheaper. You can even go on Amazon and buy one of the so-called tough phones with, the extreme cases, and they're super waterproof, and they're going to cost you a couple $100. And if all you're going to use it for is a GPS, and we're going to stop for a minute. Let's talk a minute about gear. The things that you want to take with you. Definitely you want to take all the tools that you need. And sometimes this is the curse of somebody who is a pretty good mechanic, because I hate to be capable of fixing something and not have the tool that I need to fix it. So I have to carry a little bit of everything. Some things I've learned to fake, I can get away without a ring compressor or something like that. But the bottom line is, take what you need, don't take more. But it behooves you to know how to use as many tools as you possibly can. As far as camping gear, we talked about, getting a good sleeping bag. You want to think about what system you want to sleep in. I've become an absolute convert to hammocks. I will say that every once in a while you have an issue, and you'll need to sleep on the ground. There's not 2 trees or 2 signposts or 2 stop signs, or I've come up with a lot of things to hang your hammock between, because I'll try to do anything I can not to go to the ground. However, you can avoid that by having a tent, and then you're going to need a mattress and all of those things. The hammock has its downsides too. iHammock is a good combination. It has aluminum bows on it that hold the bug net off, so it's not a separate system, so it can actually go down on the ground. It makes a pretty tight little tent, and one I prefer not to use if I can avoid it, but it is doable, and it is usable. Clothes, again, we talked about that. Pack minimal, pack about what you need. Don't get yourself out there disgusting. Wash them at every opportunity you can. That doesn't mean necessarily getting to the laundromat. A lot of people will do that. A lot of people talk about, they'll join Planet Fitness or one of these places so they can get, showers with their membership, whatever. But there are a lot of streams. There are a lot of lakes. There are a lot of rest stop bathrooms. So make it work. Make it work. There's no reason you can't keep yourself clean and presentable, although, as I said, this needs to be trimmed up a little bit. That's another thing to consider too. Your grooming, you've got to be able to take care of. I had a lot of discussion with the woman that used to do my hair, in that I wanted to grow out, but she showed me how to do this so that I use a clipper, and just if I have to have a friend help me because I can't see the back very well, I clip everything that's not long. and it becomes two separate sections, and it's easy enough to do. You may want to shave yourself bald. You may want to do whatever. You may be traveling with a barber, whatever. But these are the things that you need to consider. I have a skin condition called ichthyosis. I don't sweat anywhere near like I should, so my skin gets very dry. I need to carry the right lotions and creams, or I'm just going to tear myself to shreds scratching. These are the things that are personal. These are the things that you're going to have to figure out. But find out what you need. Take what you need. Don't take more. And sometimes, like I say, in the realm of mechanical, it does pay to learn to use more, so that you do need to use more, because you can fix more. Don't have things spring up on you. Staying someplace free is really kind of one of the big keys, and it can be more difficult depending on your situation. I am fortunate in that I do have a lot of friends, and for whatever reason, they're not too smart, and they put up with me for a long time if necessary. Some of them say, I can stay for months. Yeah, okay. But it is good to have friends, develop them. You have a network out there. Uh, Aside from that, there are a few apps that are good, and you can go in the comments and add your own thoughts on these. Uh, I've used most of them, but I pretty much get down to two: the Overlander app, and then Free Roam, which used to be an app, but now is a web-based app. And I like these two, but be aware that you need to read dates when you read reviews. If they're reviewed but they're 3 years old, that place may not exist. Um, you need to look at the free ones, obviously, and you need to watch that. The majority of these are geared around the van life or the RV life, and so they may be parking lots in a casino or something like that, a Cracker Barrel parking lot, which a side street that's hardly used. Well, those aren't very applicable to us. So use them, take them with a grain of salt, read the descriptions carefully, and make sure it's an applicable thing to you. um, BLM land, Bureau of Land Management, National Forest. For the most part, these provide a lot of free dispersed camping, but know the regulations and know the things around there. State parks always charge you. Sometimes you can get a little discount. One thing I okay, one thing I recommend is getting a pass, a national parks pass, if you can, because the national monuments and things can be very, very inexpensive to stay in. Like Lava Bed National Monument, beautiful place in California, $6 a night. I'd rather be free, but that's plenty doable. It's got water, bathrooms, and a lot of amenities that you might not get otherwise. But it's $6 a night because I have a national parks pass, a senior pass. Now, I can't tell everybody to be a senior. Woohoo! It's a great thing. But there are other options. There are military discounts, etc. So get what you can to get in there. Friends, BLM land, national parks, national monuments, national forests. Well, national parks generally are not going to be, but national forests are. So these are all going to be good resources for you. There are two others that are very, very good, and I'm going to sort of step off on these a little bit because there is a network called Bunkabiker, and if you're serious about doing this, and I hate to see that system clogged with people that are not dedicated to this life, or even or taking good vacations, but Bunkabiker is a great network, and you can find it through bunkabiker.com. Be sure to read all the instructions, all the things, because this is a service, a community that is bikers serving bikers, and it has been set up and maintained by a very ambitious young woman who goes by the name of Z Traveler, and Z Traveler has built quite a network. So it's important we respect that, and I won't say a whole lot more than take a look at bunkabiker.com, and if it's suitable for you, then it is. But remember that anybody that's hosting you is doing this out of the goodness of their heart. They're also doing it because many of them are sort of experiencing what you're going through vicariously, And to show up and disappear into a back room and start editing film or something like that is kind of rude. You want to participate in the life. If you're interested in becoming a host, that's something that's always needed and always welcomed. So take a look at it again. Any questions, Z Traveler or any of the administrative mods are really, really good about answering questions, and it's an excellent thing. The other option is what we call stealth camping. And although I've done some, not to the degree that Z Traveler has, and she has in fact been finishing up on a book on that, and I'm going to pretty much leave it at that and say, I haven't even seen it yet. I would highly recommend it without seeing it, because I know the kinds of things that she's done and the kind of places she's gone. So I would strongly recommend that when that book comes out. I'm cheap as can be, but I'll pay the money. And likewise, I support her Patreon site. I that helps all of us. That's another thing that I have going. Full transparency, yeah, I kind of forget about it at times because I don't have a lot of followers on there, but it does afford me just about the right amount of money to replace tires and things like that. So if you can get a side gig going, like I say, I'm always willing to do that. I'm traveling anywhere, so if it's 72 degrees in your area and you need a handyman, somebody who'll work on your motorcycle that's over 20 years old because the shops won't do it, a gigolo, whatever you need, I'm there. But we're if you can add to what you're doing, that's fine. How do I get off track on that? So again, bunk up biker, stealth camping, good things, but I would again leave that up to following the lead of Z Traveler. She's a great resource on this, and a credit to this motorcycling community. So anyway, that's pretty much what I've got to say. What we do. Again, if this is crazy, but I mean, I ride alone. I prefer to ride alone for the most part, but at times riding alone gets solitary and lonely. And I'm very happy if somebody said, I want to take a month off and ride with you and see how we do this, whatever. Let me know. Maybe we can work something out, and you can tag along, and maybe we'll both learn something. Trust me, there's plenty that I've got to learn. So that's what I got to say about that. I rambled on long enough, and I hope we can see you in the next installment.